Today we're going to be exploring avoidance. That's right, I'm going to take you through 3 key areas of avoidance, why we avoid and what are we trying to avoid and who we're trying to avoid. Just a quick one before I go any further. I had a potential client. I was on a call with him last week, say Tuesday, and we was just going through some personal stuff, but he had to go because of a meeting and I had to close up as well. So we rearranged to jump on the meeting on the Friday. 1 hour before, he texted through, he's snowed under, can we do it the following Friday? Bells were ringing already then. The following Friday, why so far apart? However, I said, yeah, sure. Today, Wednesday, I sent him a text that says 1 o'clock okay for you. He spilt out some jargon in this message. So now, let's just break that down a little bit. Number one, he's obviously not himself and the enemy's got strongholds on him. Why? Because he never had the confidence to say if it wasn't for him at the beginning on that first meeting. Number two, he then cancelled an hour before and said, can we rearrange for the following Friday? That's a week apart. Why so long apart? Because he wanted to put further and further away because it was safer. The further away he could go. He couldn't go further than a week, could he really? Yeah? So now, let me break it down even more. So then, it's Wednesday. I've called 2 days till the Friday. I've not called, I've texted. And I said to him, how's 1 o'clock? Then he spilt some jargon, talking nonsense. I sent him a message. I said, this is called avoidance. I work with people on a day-to-day basis and have done for the last 10 years. That's why I do what I do. Avoidance. You've got to ask yourself the question, who and what are you trying to avoid? Question mark. There you go. That's why I've come out to do this video today. Because why do people avoid situations, circumstances, and people? Because it makes them feel uncomfortable. What makes us feel uncomfortable? Sometimes it's looking at ourselves in the mirror. Sometimes it's going back to experiences or things that we thought we left behind and we haven't dealt with. So they're still inside us, on top of us, and we're still traveling with this baggage, with this stuff from last year, 10 years ago, and we might want to avoid even speaking about that because it's so painful. Another avoidance. But anyway, let me just jump into the video because there's 3 key areas here where we're going to explore. And number 1 is the avoidance of overthinking and doing, being busy, just consistently overthinking. And that overthinking, when you're living in your head, listen, you're dead because you're not connected here. And this is for another video, but I'll give you a little bit on top of that. When you're drinking loads of stimulants like coffee, etc., what happens? Your heart races. And when it races, because of the stimulant, the dopamine and endorphins, what happens? You cut yourself off from your heart because you're in your head. So you're dead. You're not even thinking logically either because you're in fight, flight, and freeze, survival. You're in survival mode, so you're not even logically thinking because the oxygen and the blood pumping throughout the body like you're being chased by a lion, but you're not. There you go. So that's number 1. All this busyness, doing. And it's, yes, you have to do certain things, but let me tell you something. If you ain't embodied and you're not working with the currents of life, you're going to fall short. And sometimes that's the avoidance of actually the self and listening to that still small voice, because the busier we are, we're not hearing our heart. And the voice within our heart is our conscience. And usually we hear that in the mornings. You know, when you wake up first thing in the morning, it's there. Whatever's going on in your life, it will come there. That's where that voice will come. So with the more stimulations, the more busy you become, you're avoiding the voice. And that voice is your life sat-nav to help and guide you. But if you ignore it, then what happens? You end up crashing. So that one. What else? Relationship, jumping from one relationship to another relationship. The avoidance, avoiding yourself, trying to fulfill that gap, that void. And then you've got the car, maybe a new car, a new project, just getting into a new project. So your mind's occupied, you're thinking consistently. And that's another way of avoidance, avoiding what's actually going on at home in there, and possibly at home. And then the other avoidance, the busyness, the hustle, having to be out all the time on the roads, never stopping until you go home and get your nut down. That's another one. Jumping on the computer first thing in the morning, you're getting your phone, you're browsing, you're going through social media the minute you get up. It's avoidance. But also there's an addiction and a habit of chemicals, dopamine, endorphin, that's actually being installed now. So it's even harder for you to actually get closer. So as you're avoiding, you're picking up other habits, other addictions, and this is becoming embedded within your lifestyle. It's taking you further and further and further away from yourself. It's dangerous stuff, because are we going to go through life always avoiding actually getting to know ourselves, developing, becoming that version, that leader, that entrepreneur for the business? Because remember, there's no point being successful within the business, there's no point being successful financially or with the business, the assets, but inside you're hollow, because you've been avoiding yourself for decades and you just don't want to go there. Another avoidance, alcohol, drugs, that's avoidance as well. Avoiding your true feelings, your true reality of life. It's an avoidance of actually dealing with certain stuff. So you consistently are stimulants, or whether it's depressants, alcohol, whether it's drugs, and then you're continually on the rat race, the same habits, and you're avoiding who you truly are. And then we're going to go down to the identity, the image. You're avoiding who you are behind the veil because you're hiding behind the image, the brand. So you're avoiding yourself, hiding and avoiding who you truly are, because now you're playing a character that everyone's feeding on social media or within the business. So now you avoid the man or woman at home with the children or with whoever, because this character is helping you cope. So it's getting fed, it's becoming bigger and bigger, but further away from the truth of who you are. And anything to remind you or to take you there or for you to be still, it's scary. And other people can actually intimidate you. You may try and avoid certain people that may be agents for you to evolve consciously, to get to know yourself, to be the next version. But you avoid because it's no longer you. You've been taken over by my man, the ego. Different names for it. You got different characters. You're not being your true self, your authentic self, because you're being the character, the image, the work, the doing to just help you cope. But say if we was to strip it down, the work went, the business went, the brand went, the image went, the assets went. Who would you be? And that's who you need to get to know with your business. Because you're not your business, you're not your brand, you're not that. You are an infinite, powerful being. You are the creator of your reality, of your assets, of this, of that. But if you're not willing to get to know you because you want to avoid, because it's the ego and it doesn't want us to evolve. Let me break it down to you now. The ego doesn't want us to be us. It wants us to be something that we're not. It wants us to identify with the 50, the 200K, whatever watch, the car, the house. It wants us so that we are this. Because it uses material, because the ego is nothing. So it doesn't want you to get to know yourself because of how powerful you really are. And this here doesn't really mean anything. The power doesn't come from what you can see, taste, and touch, your five senses. The matter. None of this matters. What matters is that what's inside you, that what's vibrating on a frequency, whether you're living in presence, power, love, and in a good space and a good place inside, you will know. But these things are a distraction. Even though you need these roles, they're roles. It's part of life. It's a program. It's a role. It's a responsibility. But it's not you. But life is about getting to know you. I watched a podcast. It was Tony Robbins and the other guy. He'd done about, I think, 150 mil sales within like space of a day. You know, I'm on about the Green Book. Swayze or something, he wears the patch on his nose. Basically, he was having an interview with Tony Robbins, and he's made all the money in the world. Tony Robbins had as well, but Tony Robbins was talking him through because he seems a bit lost now. What now? And he's saying that you need to obviously sit with yourself and get to know where you can serve, yeah? Where you can serve and Tony Robbins was saying how people that he serves and some of the stuff that he does, but you have to get to know you before that, because there's only so much business, there's only so much stuff that you can do before you then have to sit with yourself to ask you the question, what's it all about? What now? The most important journey you will have in life is the journey of reversing inside you, getting to know you, what your triggers are, dealing with your stuff from your past, and becoming a better version for your tomorrow. That is one of the most important journeys in the relationships that you will ever come across. And until you face the man or woman in the mirror and start doing that work, you're going to go further and further and further away from yourself. And it's going to get scarier and scarier, darker and darker. And the drop is going to be much higher than if you was coming in to yourself and getting to know the truth of life, the meaning, the purpose. And that's what we try to avoid, because it's not us that's trying to avoid it. It's the ego, the flesh, the lower self. And that's who you're in a war with. It's not with me. It's not with your counselor, with the therapist, with the pastor, or with anyone that's an agent to try and help and support you. It's you, the man or woman in the mirror. But that's life's journey for us. It's a journey for us to peel the layers off. or we can keep putting the layers on. And that's the thing that I'm trying to give you information, wisdom and knowledge, so you can peel the layers off the onion, so you can come to the truth, the core, or you put more of the layers on, avoidance. The more you avoid, the more you're putting layers on. The more you face the truth, the more you have the confidence. The more truthful and authentic you are, the more you will give someone. You wouldn't be frightened, you wouldn't be scared to say what you mean what you say. People that are blocked and stuck in a lower dance, that's for another video, not confident within themselves, they're unable to share because they're not being their self. They're doing, and through that doing, they're being someone that they're not, and they're trying to survive. There's like a battle going on with inside, and they're trying to fit in, trying to get belonging, trying to make success so other people will be proud. It's all bull. Because the only person that you need to do and be is yourself. Your own motivation, inspiration, approval, appraisal, external validation. That's a prison within itself. I don't care if it's your mum, your dad, your missus. That's a prison. Don't get me wrong, you do things and people will give you some flowers. However, it shouldn't be the driving force. You should be doing what you're doing for yourself and have the confidence to express your opinions, your views. And if something means no, it means no. It's not for me. Why would you need to avoid? And do you know, when people, instead of texting someone, calling someone, and just giving them the truth, it's even more liberties when you take people on a wild goose chase, just to then say after a week, 2 weeks. That's wrong. You got to look in the mirror. Even more, you need some training. Even more, you need to peel their layers off. Why would you have someone for so long when you could have told them then, no, it's not for me, or maybe false evidence appearing real? So the question I ask you today, what are you avoiding? Who are you avoiding? And why? And if you continue, you're going to put layers and layers on, take you further and further away from yourself, and it will get scarier and it will get more painful. Or are you willing to face your fears? The $1 million question. I had to face mine in 2012 in a prison cell. I had nowhere else to go. I burnt every bridge there was, every relationship. No one liked me. I didn't like myself, and there was nowhere to go. I was stripped naked, and that was due to the avoidance from drugs, from alcohol, and all that not so good stuff. And in the end, where I avoided so much my feelings, I avoided who I was, I avoided everything, then boom, there was nowhere else to go. Apart from four walls. Didn't even have my clothes. I was stripped. Naked. With a number from my stripped in a box. And it was only when I was stripped in that box I discovered. And I had to face the man in the mirror. Bars behind me, but that didn't define me. And I redesigned me. Welcome to the new me. And the only time I went back to prison was to the boardroom, shake the governor's hand for no less than 100 grand. Imagine that. Prisoner for almost 17 years, in and out of prison for 17 years, then going back to prison. shaking the governor's hands, getting contracts from Ministry of Justice. That's what you call transformation, faith, belief, and tapping in to who you truly are. And that's why I'm so passionate of what I do. And that's why I want to help as many people on this planet to experience what I've experienced throughout my journey, and then through the methodology of stripping that onion. And then when you strip that onion, you're left with the core, and that's where the power is, and that's where the authenticity is, and that's when life works for you, through you, and life becomes life, and no longer does it become a struggle. Because all along we was struggling because we was fighting life. But life will always win, my friend. And the more you fight, the more tired you're going to get, the more lost you're going to get, the more confused you're going to get, the why me you're going to say. So you've got to make the decision and the choice. You're going to avoid the truth and follow the lie and go back after this video and carry on with the lie, or you're going to face the truth and live with the truth, and the truth will set you free. I hope you got a lot from this video, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe, and then I will see you on another one.